Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar. We're pleased to be presenting to you today a case study on improving performance for advertisers with out-of-home and mobile. My name is Dan Scherer. I'm with Gimbal, and I'm pleased to introduce from Clear Channel Outdoor, Campbell Keller. How are you doing today, Campbell?
Hey, Dan. I'm great. Thanks for joining me on this webinar. I'm excited to present it with you.
Thank you so much, as am I. Could you please give a brief introduction to your role at Clear Channel for the attendees?
Sure thing. Hi, guys. My name is Campbell. I am the Director of Product Development at Clear Channels with a focus on audiences. And when we're thinking about audiences, that is for planning purposes. So thinking about how can we be helping to select particular boards based off of the types of consumers that are going past them. And then also thinking about it from an activation standpoint. So how can we be extending the reach and frequency of our outdoor advertising across multiple different channels for our customers?
Thanks, Campbell. And I am the VP of Channel Partnerships at Gimbal. We work with companies like Clear Channel Outdoor in the out-of-home space, as well as other local media companies, helping them to leverage high-quality location data and media services to build best-in-class media solutions. So let's jump into our webinar. We're really excited to be presenting a lesson plan today on how mobile and out-of-home fit together, the elements that are used, the approaches that are taken, as well as an opportunity to present to you a detailed media strategy and some results from a case study for these types of programs. So Campbell, when we're thinking about the goals and what you're trying to achieve by melding out of home and mobile, what's top of mind for you and how to do this?
Yeah, so it's really three different key components, and this is covering both mobile as a channel and then mobile location data as well. So the first is really precision and thinking about how can we be leveraging the best in class in terms of location data and technology to be able to extend the reach of our campaigns. And that ties in really well to the second, which is accuracy. So thinking about when extending our reach, we want to be doing this to the most accurate set of consumers that we know have been exposed to our messaging. So really taking an identity and one-to-one based approach when qualifying exposure. And then third is optimizing against performance. So based off of our clients' key objectives, how can we be leveraging the learnings from a mobile campaign to help in driving better results for our customers?
That's great. And when building data-driven solutions, it's clear you have to start with something that is precise and very accurate. Let's take a quick look at an animation that illustrates how Clear Channel Online goes about collecting and targeting audiences. Campbell, can you share your thoughts on this animation and how things are working here?
Yeah, so at the beginning, we're thinking about how can we be leveraging location data from consumers that have opted into sharing their location in the background. This really allows us to be able to reach consumers in a passive environment, especially considering the majority of our inventory is roadside. So in combination with that, we're also wanting to look at consumers that are traveling in the appropriate direction that our boards are facing. And this is really valuable for us because it allows us to be able to qualify exposure in the most accurate sense, especially when compared to just simply radial geofencing. So a view shed is our preferred way of being able to qualify this. As you can see here, only certain boards are deemed viewable based off of the view shed, which we define based off of direction facing and the media type as well. From there, this audience of consumers that are deemed exposed can then be retargeted with the same creative and messaging from our boards to help drive frequency with our consumers and with our advertisers campaign. From there, we can help drive certain online and offline KPIs like in-store visitation to help drive better results for our customers.
Thanks, Campbell. Covered some interesting terms there. Let's do a little bit of a deeper dive on data, on targeting. For Clear Channel Outdoor, when you're thinking about what what is important and how you qualify quality data, what are some of the considerations that you're thinking about?
Yeah, and for the Radar suite of tools that we have developed, we are constantly looking at what is the best quality of data that's available in the marketplace. We actually did start with Bidstream more than 4 years ago when we were building our suite of tools that we'll go into on the next slide, but found that there is certain value in more persistent data sources like those from SDKs implemented in mobile applications. So we look at consumers that have firstly opted in or consented into sharing their location in the background with a privacy first approach. And from there, the level of persistency that we receive from this data source allows us to be able to qualify exposure in a very deterministic way. So receiving multiple points throughout the day that allows us to be able to understand which boards our consumers have gone past throughout their consumer journey.
Yeah, I can see why having deterministic data versus best guess or probabilistic data can come in very handy. Certainly having a deeper trail of data, as you alluded to, having always on location data can also be very valuable. So collecting that data seems to be the first point. What is Clear Channel thinking about when it comes to deploying this data for different use cases?
Yeah, so when we're thinking about looking at this, raw feed of location data, we want to be able to leverage it in a way that is going to be the most accurate when qualifying exposure to our board. So we found that while other historical media companies have leveraged a radial geofencing approach, it's best to be leveraging a specific and custom viewshed per the media types that we are going to be leveraging on an out-of-home plan, along with the direction that our boards are facing. And this allows us to be able to customize the location data that we're seeing for qualifying exposure based upon also the direction that the consumer is traveling.
Thanks, Campbell. So we have some very high quality data. It's been filtered to be even more accurate. And now we're going to talk about deploying it inside a very specific media strategy that brings together the traditional and digital out-of-home space with mobile. So when you're starting off with planning, how is it that you go about deploying the data to begin the process?
Yeah, so we have within our organization a suite of tools that falls under the Radar umbrella, and it really encompasses 3 core products, the first being Radar View. And it's important to note that when thinking about these different products, we want to be partnering with location data companies that can help us in driving the best quality of service and products for our customers. So really props to Gimbal on helping us along many steps of the way here. So for Radar View, it's thinking about how can we be leveraging audiences to be indexing our boards. And these audiences really being mobile device ID segments of consumers that are being exposed to our inventory to help inform what boards should a customer be buying. The second is Radar Connect. So again, taking in that same approach in terms of methodology and qualifying exposure and retargeting consumers that have been exposed, and then also leveraging other supplementary strategies in order to extend the reach of our out-of-home campaign across mobile, especially when hitting the customer's key target audiences. And then lastly, it's Radar Proof. So focusing on measurement and attribution. And this is going to be based upon the specific campaign's objectives, whether it be online or offline. But again, understanding based off of exposure, how can we be showing any sort of lift based off of those that were exposed or unexposed or exposed to other targeting strategies to measure the impact of the campaign.
So we've got some incredible tools here and a very, very highly qualified data set that you're utilizing throughout the entire process of planning a campaign, executing it on mobile, measuring the effect through the lens of that same data set for both the traditional out-of-home portion and the mobile portion to optimize the results. Let's jump right into that then. Why don't we take a look at those results It'd be great, Campbell, to hear from you what your expectations are and what you have seen at a high level by bringing these two mediums together.
Yeah, so we've done a ton of different studies on our side in validating this approach. And for us, it's been relatively consistent. And that's when pairing out of home and mobile together, we're seeing increases across a number of different KPIs. And this is really the reality of comparing two very location-based mediums. And when we're looking at this across a number of different verticals even, the results stay the same, which is when looking at pairing out of home and mobile together, we're seeing tremendous increases in engagement with our advertising that's driving better results for our customers. So you can see when we worked with a skincare center named Reflections Dermatology out of Orlando, we're seeing tremendous increases amongst those that were exposed to our messaging versus other forms of mobile targeting. Same thing with a Hispanic TV show where you're seeing a 41% increase. And then with a local university, we are also seeing a 59% increase. While the KPIs all here are focused on click-through rate and online ad engagement, the KPIs are relatively different from a awareness perspective. Some are driving brand awareness, some are also driving enrollment. So this is something that we want to employ as a strategy across 100% of our campaigns to help be driving better performance for our customers.
I think this really illustrates a tremendous opportunity in the out-of-home space and the mobile space to come together to create a 1 + 1 = 3 effect for consumers. I think it's a very powerful story here, particularly that the methodology that is being deployed and leveraging quality ingredients and quality data and quality process to build campaigns seems to be effective for campaigns that are targeting different types of audiences. And regardless of, as you said, what the KPIs are, there is lift, both in those awareness campaigns as well as in the click to enroll or web KPI type of approach. So we know that we've got some great results here. Let's move through to our conclusion and share some of the recommendations, some of those things we'd like our audience to take away today and how they can help themselves.
Sure thing, Dan. So first, it's thinking about that premium quality location data, and persistence is key here. And that's wanting to be looking at data that is always on from consumers that have opted into sharing their location in the background. And this data really allows us to be able to be creating the largest scale of audiences when defining exposure and really being confident in the way that we are qualifying that exposure as well. Second is aligning traditional and digital channels. Dan, I know you know this really well from your work with other channel partners at Gimbal, but we really see the power and strength in combining two very location-based mediums together, especially when thinking about the upper funnel advantages that outdoor has when paired with the lower funnel attributes that mobile has, and being able to drive a really true end-to-end strategy and moving consumers down the marketing funnel towards a client's key objectives.
You're right, Campbell. I do love that one. And it's, I think, a tremendous opportunity, as I stated earlier. Another recommendation that we discussed earlier, and I think a great point of view for our listeners to come to these opportunities with, is really that understanding how important having qualified exposures is. We say not all audiences are created equal, and data, just for the sake of data, can really overwhelm opportunity as opposed to benefit the opportunity. So spending that time to define what quality data means for your organization and work to capture those qualified exposures is key to driving these types of performance lift. And as Campbell was talking about earlier, being able to optimize in real time to drive results is also key. There are so many learnings that can be taken away and applied to campaigns on digital platforms, including mobile, that really allow us to continue to refine and fine tune. So for partners, it's important to work with and approach media delivery with that in mind. I think we have one more recommendation, Campbell. You share a little bit more perspective?
Yeah, last thing, it's all about the measurement and attribution. So based off of what a client's core objective is, how can we be demonstrating the success of a campaign by showcasing what a lift could be based on performance, what the ROI could be for a customer. And our strong recommendation is always to be looking at how can we be leveraging the data gathered from both an out-of-home or an out-of-home plus mobile campaign to really show how we can be driving towards a client's core customer objective, whether it be online, driving ad engagement, web lift, or in-store.
We hope everybody enjoyed and learned something today for our webinar. We're really happy that we had the opportunity to present it to you. We're looking forward to being able to meet you all in person in 2021. And thanks again for taking the time to join us. Have a great day. Stay safe, everybody.